Hello, fellow Econauts, and welcome back to our show. I'm here with my brother Ben, the Rocketman, and our subject today is space history. Hey Ben, how are you?
Hey Simon, hey fellow Econauts. Yes, today we talk about the first moon landing, or better to say, the first man on the moon.
The first man on the moon. Who was the first man on the moon?
Well, I think that is a name everybody knows, Neil Armstrong,
I
and
think
the
so too.
second one right behind him, Buzz Aldrin.
That's
And they had,
correct.
yeah, and on the mission they had Michael Collins, who remained in the service module around the lunar orbit.
It was Michael Collins, not Phil Collins.
No, Michael Collins.
All right, okay.
Maybe he was singing as well.
Maybe he was singing as well, yeah. So maybe we start with talking a little bit about the historical circumstances of the mission.
Yeah, so I mean, the time was 1969. The world had the Cold War. Two superpowers were arm wrestling and showing their muscles. And the space race was extremely important to show who has the advantage. And also, one thing a lot of people misjudge maybe a little bit, space meant the high ground. So if you were able to conquer the world above Earth, and at that time nobody knew really what to expect, sometimes you can't just get things from measurements. Sometimes you have to go, and that's a part of it. And around that time, it was not normal to go to space. We didn't have a space station, not a space station.
No space passport.
No spaceport. And the Soviet Union was actually ahead of the game for a long time. They had the first satellite around Earth, Sputnik 1. They had the first dock in orbit, Sputnik 2. Laika, that was the name of the dock. They had the first human orbiting the Earth. That was on Vulcan 1. And they even had the first object reaching the moon. It went off afterwards, so they had a failed attempt to actually land. And to this day, that object is still remaining in sun orbit, somewhere between the sun and Earth. So it's still floating around there. But yeah, so you see, the Soviet Union was actually ahead of the game, and the United States of America, they had to catch up, and they really made a huge effort to go to the moon. And then finally, with the Apollo 11 mission, they launched on the 16th of July, 1969. It took them 4 days to reach the moon. On the 20th of July, they actually attempted to land on the moon and succeeded. Then Neil Armstrong opened the gates with a bit of a hassle, because the gate wouldn't open that easily. Was a bit of a stucking mechanism there. Also, there was a few other small things which didn't really go to plan, because they had more tools in the area and other stuff. Anyway, he stepped out, and then he made the final the quote everybody knows. It's the small step for me, but it's a huge leap for humanity, or in that. Maybe not perfectly,
For
but I guess
mankind.
everybody knows. Yeah, for mankind. Buzz Aldrin stepped out as well. He had a glass of wine on the moon. So, obviously not outside. The helmet would prevent that a little bit.
Yeah, I was just asking how could he drink some wine?
And then shortly after, they had a few steps on the moon. They collected some samples. Had a fantastic picnic. Like Wallace and Gromit.
And
Tried the
also
cheese.
some fun.
And some fun. And then they returned to Earth and re-entered Earth on the 24th of July. So the whole travel took them about 8 days and 13 hours or something like that. And they re-entered Earth. They had to go through customs and into quarantine for I guess it was 10 days or 20 days even, because at this time, again, nobody knew what we had on the moon. Do we have bacteria there? And bringing bacteria back to Earth might be a big threat,
Yeah.
because our immune system might not have been prepared for that. So yeah, of course, we didn't want to risk it. So yeah, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, even though he was not on the moon, but he might have been contagious
Absolutely,
with the other
absolutely.
astronauts. And yeah, so they had to remain in quarantine for a while. So yeah, I think that these are really the highlights. A part of that they used the Apollo 5 obviously to go there. The spacecraft was a combination of Columbia and Eagle. Columbia was the command and service module, and the Eagle was the lunar module. And also the very first thing when they touched down, and also that's on the insignia, the emblem for the mission Apollo 11 was the Eagle has touched down. That was when they landed on the moon. So that came even before the big quote of Neil Armstrong. So you see, I'm very excited about it.
The Eagle has
really
landed.
good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
well, we haven't been born at that time already, but I mean, I think that the vibe has reached us even in the 80s. There were like a lot of buzz, and I'm not referring to buzz, but
Yeah.
a lot of talk about this mission, of course, and a lot of science fiction was also kind of influenced by that, and the excitement was there. I mean, we had like
Absolutely. Yeah.
I remember that we had like a lot of different missions attempting to go to the moon again, and it didn't really happen, and then unfortunately everything was kind of going to a stillstand, which is getting me actually to the next segment that I would like to talk about, is the impact of that mission for future attempts, especially in relation to the Artemis program. Maybe you
Yes.
have some thoughts about that.
Yes. I mean, first of all, there have been a couple other moon landings with people after the Apollo 11 mission. There was 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. After 17, the program was canned in favor for a space station and the shuttle program, which was extremely expensive. And obviously, NASA, like the moon missions were expensive as well. So the United States had to decide. The impact was huge for the astronauts who, again, it was before anybody went into space. We didn't know what was going on into space, right? We didn't have all the CGI and all the computer graphics and computer power we have nowadays. So it was a lot of imagination. There was no photographs. There was no images, even not from measurements or anything, just like maybe pure measurements. So going actually there, getting photos from there had a huge impact on humanity, and a huge inspiration. And also in terms of peace, getting that perspective. I think every astronaut comes back with the same impression. The Earth is just a small marble, and I believe obviously I haven't been up there at all, but I believe if I would ever be in a position to look down on the whole Earth, on this blue marble, I would come back with the same impression that we have a precious planet, and it's a pity that we have all these fights.
Right.
You know,
If I might interject, I just would like to mention two things. Number one, you mentioned the technology that was available to humans at the time. I think a very good comparison that I did in the past as well is we actually have now more computer power in our pockets with a smartphone than they had
Yes.
available in 1969. So
For the whole mission,
for the whole mission, yes,
the whole ground station, everything, right?
yeah, and the computers in that days were like huge. They were enormous. So I hope that this is also showcasing again what an achievement it was to actually bring someone on the moon. It's like I just make this stupid comparison just to make a point here, but it's like basically sending someone with a slingshot,
Nah.
to the moon. It's like in comparison, there was like they had to do a lot of math on a piece of paper instead of using like very powerful computers, and that should underline again what a great achievement it was to actually get to the moon.
Absolutely, yeah.
The-
I cannot agree more. Simon. That's very well said.
The second thing that I would like to mention is you said that seeing the marble from outer space. I was playing some video games where I was like locked out of the Sol system and had to get a license to actually visit the Sol system. And even if it was just, I'm just saying like I'm downplaying playing that a little bit, but even if it was just a video game, the pride that I felt when I was like in my spaceship flying around Earth, even if it was just, it was not real, it was just I felt so proud to have achieved that, to actually be back on Earth. It was an incredible moment, especially because the graphic was like also incredible to actually experience that. But I think it shows what an impact this moon landing actually had. Entertainment, video games, and of course also scientific. And like you said, I think it also helped to put things in perspective.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I also believe, and I think I have mentioned that as well a couple of times, going to extend our horizon, to extend our reach, and with our, I mean, obviously humanity's reach, is the task of space agencies. It's the task to expand that. They are the pioneers. Now we, as commercial entities, and we as researchers, we have to follow in order to learn new things. And there's a vast thing. We had so many different episodes about space medicine, space agriculture, and how they relate back to problems we have on Earth and how we can find solutions doing that. But still, we have not answered so many things in even to the moon. We don't know the exact age of the surface of the moon, like when things have impacted and so on. We have a very good guess, and we have very good ideas and models and theories to explain certain things, but we don't know for sure because we have to select samples. Do you know, since we have been on the moon, how many samples do you think have we been bringing back from the moon?
I remember that you mentioned that in a previous episode that we are still using the samples from the first moon landing.
Yes, but in total we have brought back 10 samples. At the TEDx talk I attended, there was a fellow speaker. She's a professor for geology and planetary science at Curtin University, Professor Gretchen Benedicts, and she explained, imagine being an alien and you just had 10 samples from Earth, and you, as it happened to be, the 10 samples are all water. And now you bring it back to your home planet, and you have to assess what kind of a planet is Earth. So you would come to the conclusion that Earth is just a water planet, and there's no life on, or there's no intelligent life maybe on it, because you have only selected water samples. And now imagine we have only 10 samples from the moon. So we don't know exactly what the moon is completely made of. We have, as I said, we have a really good guess. There are other remote sensing possibilities we can do, but we need to get on the ground. We need boots on the moon. And that's why Artemis is now so important, to actually get back on track. We have, as you already said, we had a too long break from the last moon landing from the Apollo 17 to now. There was more than 50 years in between now. We need to get back.
Well, I think we are ended for today. That was a very nice talk. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
And hit the notification bell.
Exactly, and hit the notification bell. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap